Even though it was bipartisan to go into Iraq too and Afghanistan, it was the Republican Warhawks who instigated it. They were the catalyst. They're the ones who pushed it through. They're the ones that garnered that bipartisan support to go into those countries. I want to take a moment to address the Russian trolls calling leftists and liberals Warhawks. For those that haven't been following along, or maybe you're too young, the Warhawks were the Republicans who got us into Iraq too and Afghanistan. That's the very type of politics that we're fighting against voting for Kamala, is that we don't want to be lied to and manipulated by the military-industrial complex to go into other countries for, for instance, oil interests. We don't want them to do that. We didn't want them to do that back when they did it the first few times. That we're finally out of that thanks to the Biden administration. It's nice to know that we don't have any, boots on the ground in combat zones as far as, large troop deployments. Obviously, we have troops around the world. We have bases all over the world. From what I can tell, in the past 4 years, 3 years, we've been trying to correct, not have that colonial spirit that the rest of the world raises an eyebrow to or, judges us on. But I agree, we were a colonial threat. How we founded this country, we took people's land. I'm not disputing any of that, but the actual Warhawks were like Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Karl Rove. They're the ones that worked in Herbert Walker's presidency, and they had a lot of intelligence that they passed on to George Herbert Walker Bush's son, George W. Bush. That George W. Bush felt like he had something to prove, and he was listening to guys who had a lot of experience and knew his dad, and he got manipulated. Military-industrial complex knew that they would get a huge boon in business for decades, and they were surely right. Think about the cost of operating our military in Iraq, 1, 2, and Afghanistan. When I look at like the old extremists we were upset with that we called Warhawks, they were the ones that put us into Iraq too and Afghanistan. Back then, they were the extremists. We didn't know that there would be these ultra extremists that would come in and hijack the party. And then I consider those to be the ultimate Warhawks because they're siding with authoritarians who are going into countries and just trying to take them over. The leftists and the Democrats, they want to see war end in Israel and Palestine. And they also want to see the Ukraine-Russia war end, but they don't want to see Russia just take Ukraine. They want to see Russia get out of Ukraine. If we as leftists ever need to fight, there's certainly a time for that. But I wouldn't consider the leftist Democrats or anybody in the Democrat Party to be Warhawks. It's the exact opposite, and that's what these Russian troll industrial complex folks do, is that they basically just project the exact opposite of whatever's going on with them and the right wing and the Republicans in Russia. They'll say the exact same thing is going on, but on the other side. And that's just what they'll do over and over and over. And they'll repeat themselves, they'll get loud, they'll get a bunch of fake accounts to all spread the similar message. And that's just what they do. They rinse and repeat. So they spread misinformation about it. When it comes down to it, they are the ones who are the Warhawks. The Russians are the Warhawks. The MAGA right-wing, the ultra right-wing conservative group in America, they are the new Warhawks. And they're actually even worse than the extremists that we used to, rally against. If you think the people who lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us to go into Iraq were bad, the new MAGA ultra, conservative or ultra extreme group, it's a whole different ballgame there. They will allow terrorists to take over countries. That's basically what they're allowing to do right now. They've been, supporting Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And then Putin was getting his ass kicked, so he's the one who instigated the 10/7 attack against Israel with Hamas and Hezbollah. So pretty intense geopolitical environment, and I just wanted to let you guys know that it's kind of like the brief history on American, United States, modern day Warhawks.